First-generation students and people returning to college after long absences have different concerns than traditional students. They often come to class with assumptions that are incorrect that create barriers to their success. 3 of these concerns I try to help with are: they expect to feel distant from and intimidated by me and even some of their classmates. They're not convinced they belong here. They're sure they can't describe what this class will be like and don't feel in charge of their learning. So my challenge is to find ways to help students overcome this negative mindset. My breakthrough strategy starts when I tell them we're all beginners here. I introduce the first exercise by writing this Aristotle quote on the board. Learning begins with questions. Then I ask them to write down 3 questions and 3 assumptions. For the first question, think of something you'd like to know about the person to your left. Don't be too personal or too general. For example, don't ask what year in college they are. Instead, ask about their favorite class in high school or how far away they've been from home. Be creative. For the second question, what would you like to know about this class? Finally, I tell them to think of something they'd like to ask me. Then we move to writing down 3 assumptions, and I ask for help to define the term assumption. First, I ask them to come up with an assumption about the student to their right. Next, write an assumption about this class, and lastly, one about me. Then I allow time for students to share their first question with the classmate on the left and their first assumption with the classmate on the right. Then, each one reads to the whole class an assumption about the class. I try not to respond, so they'll have to test them as we go. Then, we turn to the questions about the class, which I do answer. Lastly, they share their questions and assumptions about me. When I answer candidly, that helps them feel less distant from me. I'm breaking down the student-teacher wall and helping them feel comfortable speaking in class or visiting me during office hours. Next, I instruct them to read my syllabus and develop 2 good questions about it to ask at the next class, and not questions that are already answered in the syllabus, which would show they hadn't read it carefully. I tell them to check their assumptions about the class as they read the syllabus and revise their assumptions if necessary. That gives me a chance to correct some of their assumptions and to build accurate expectations. For instance, when they ask whether there'll be more reading or more writing, I explain how both are intertwined. They will be reading, but they will also be writing responses to the reading. Reading and writing are actually different sides of the same coin. Another way I get them involved is done with a hard copy of the syllabus with some blanks in it. I have them fill in some of the words that refer to items like late work or plagiarism or class attendance. They have to read carefully and be engaged in order to do this. By removing the intimidating aspects of my class, I succeed in helping students realize they do belong in the class, that I'm not a crazy monster professor, and that the syllabus is a useful tool that realistically describes the class, and all of that helps them take charge of their learning. My goal is to instill in each student a desire to come regularly to class, not by telling them it will be easy, but by modeling a classroom where everyone's questions are valid and worth considering. And it works. Now, they are in a mindset for success.